How are you all? Today we are going to start a very important topic for the NET exams and also for all the commerce students. And the topic is motivation and leadership. Here we will study about the concept and theories of different theories of motivation and leadership. So first let's understand that what is motivation. In business context, it means the process of making subordinates to act in desired manner to achieve certain organizational goals. Here, we have to motivate the subordinates in a certain manner that we can achieve the desired goals. Whatever the organizational goals are there, a manager needs to motivate his employees in whatever way he does it, but the organizational goals should be achieved. The main aim is this. According to Fred Lutyens, motivation is a process which begins with a certain physiological or psychological need or deficiency. We all know that every individual has some physiological need and psychological need. The basic needs, if we count, then these are, of course, that one needs food, shelter, and of course the basic needs of his life. So these are the physiological needs. Psychological needs are also there. We need some self-respect, we need some job security, etc. So these are the physiological or psychological needs. Some deficiencies, suppose the individual, we are not having money, so it's a need, it's a deficiency of money that the employee is facing. So if we are fulfilling all these needs, if we fulfill all the deficiency of the employees, then that means that we are motivating him and the employees would be motivated to perform in a very good manner, which triggers behavior drive that is aimed at a goal or an incentive you can provide to the employees. And we all this is done only to make the employees achieve the organizational goals. Now the motivation can be either positive or negative. Positive motivation means we are rewarding the employees by giving them different incentives, etc. Negative motivation can be in this manner that we are forcing the employees to perform in the way that we want. Otherwise, they won't have any job security, or they would be the payment would be deducted like that. These are the different negative motivations also. Now, motivation is a complex process. Motivation helps to reduce employee turnover and thereby saves the cost of new recruitment and training. When you are motivating the employees, then the employee turnover, because when the employees are motivated, then they tend to leave the job very fastly. Okay, so the employee turnover is reduced, and when the employee is stable in our company, so we need not recruit new employees and train them again and again. It also helps manager to introduce changes smoothly without much resistance from the employees. If there is a good relationship between the manager and the employees, then the manager can easily introduce whatever the changes he wants to make in the company, and the employees won't resist it so much. Okay. Now the next thing is, we are now going to study the different theories of motivation. So in this, the first one is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. It's a very important and of course a very famous theory of Maslow's. So this is one of the earliest theory of motivation, in which Abraham Maslow said that every human being, there exists a hierarchy of 5 needs. Every human being has 5 needs, and if we go in the order, then first we have the lower order need, and in lower order need we have 2 things: physiological need and safety need. Physiological need, the basic needs that every employees need, the food, shelter and clothing. And the safety needs, we need to be protected from thieves and all that. These are the very basic needs, the lower order needs that every individual wants. Now the high order needs, when these lower order needs are satisfied, then the individual moves to the high order needs. And what are these? The social needs. In social needs, he wants to get a position in the society, he wants friends, he wants relationship with others. These are the social needs. Now esteem needs, are he wants the self-respect, etc. Now the self-actualization is when all these needs are satisfied, the above 4 needs are satisfied, then the individual goes on the self-actualization needs, means what he wants to achieve in his life and what is his goal, he then wants to concentrate on that one. And when he is striving to fulfill this self-actualization need, then he want Means he need not bother about the physiological and safety need, because all these are already satisfied, then he is moving to this need. So this is the hierarchy of needs here that Maslow has said, and here we have done it. Now the second thing is that theory X and Y by Miss MC Gregor. Now MC Gregor has told us that there are two types of the management styles that the manager can use. Now the first one is theory X and the second one is theory Y. In theory X, what is that? The theory X is authoritarian. It means the managers are taking a pessimistic view of the people, and he just thinks that the people, the individuals working in the company are naturally unmotivated. They are just not liking the work to do. They are not willing to do anything. So the managers have this view. They take the mentality in this in their mind and they behave accordingly. Then what all these managers are doing on to theory X, they feel that the implies must be coerced, they must be controlled, or you have to threaten them. Means you have to threaten them with many things that you won't be able to do this job, or you will punish like that or this. So punishment is the main thing that these theory X managers are using. Now theory Y is just the opposite of theory X. This is participative. In participative, the managers have an optimistic view. They have a positive view of the people. Okay, they use a decentralized participative management style. Here the manager is himself involving in everything, and he is decentralizing his power. Means he is also involving his subordinates in all the decisions he is taking. People have greater responsibility, and managers encourage them to develop their skills and suggest improvement. So theory Y, both the managers and the subordinates, they are just involving in each other's work, and they both are working as a teamwork. The manager is also giving the responsibility to his subordinates, and the manager encouraging them to develop the skills and improve all the things that they are doing. So this was theory X and Y that MC Gregor has said. I hope it's clear. Now we are moving to the third theory. This is the Hirschberg's two-factor theory. In this two-factor theory, the two factors that we have is the motivators and the hygiene factors. Okay, so motivators, for example, we can take a challenging work, recognition, responsibility. When the employees are giving such work, suppose we are giving a challenging work, a new work to a certain employee, then it's a new task for him, and it is itself a motivation for him, because he wants to do that thing with the best method that he can use and to the best that he can do, because he knows that if he is doing that challenging work, then people will appreciate him for the certain work. So he does it with full responsibility and everything. So this is a very positive motivation. It gives a very positive satisfaction to the employees, and it's very important for their personal recognition, also achievement, and their personal growth. Now the second one is that hygiene factor. So hygiene factor is again the opposite of this one. A status, you are the employee is just thinking about the status of his, now the job security, what is the salary he is getting, and what are the fringe benefits. So all these are just related to the security and salary, etc. So these all are not giving positive satisfaction. Okay, suppose salary is not good. Okay, so because the person is not satisfied, he is not having any satisfaction, but he works so that maybe the boss can be satisfied through the employee's performance, and he can give it. Okay, or maybe if we look on the opposite side, then maybe the employee is just leaving his job, is quitting the job only because he's not getting proper salary. Okay, so hygiene factors, they do not give positive satisfaction, though dissatisfaction is just from their absence. If you're not getting proper salary, then you are dissatisfied. But if you're getting salary, so that won't give you any positive satisfaction, because all individuals are striving to get more and more. So all these are the conditions. And now here it is that job satisfaction and job dissatisfaction are independent of each other. We can't say that one is a job, one is satisfied from his job, at the other time he can be dissatisfied also. So all this, the two terms are just independent of each other. Now the third next theory is that MC Leland's human motivation theory. According to this, the psychologist of David MC Cleland, he told us that acquired needs theory splits the needs of employee into three categories. Okay, so here we have three categories of the employee needs, and it is different from what we have done in the Herzberg's theory. Okay, if we just look on the Herzberg's theory, then we have seen here motivators and hygiene factors. So here we are taking the again next three things. Okay, so it is stated that every person wants the three main driving motivators. Why do they do the things? The first thing is achievement, affiliation, or power. He needs to achieve something, he needs to be connected to something, affiliated to something, or he needs power. Only these are the three things because of which the individuals are working. These motivators are not inherent. It arises. We feel motivated because of these things only because when we see it in our society, in our friend circle. Okay, so these are not inherent. These are not by birth. We develop them through our culture and life experiences. When our culture is like this or we are experiencing something in life, then we are developing all these needs. Achievers like to solve problems and achieve goals. Okay, so MC Cleland told us that achievement, affiliation, or power are the three basic motivators which helps the employees to do their work. Now the next one is Erwick's theory JET. Okay, so the three theories, Erwick, Rangnicker, and Auchi. These are the three theorists, and they have given us a theory that is named as the JET theory. And in Erwick's theory, the two things is that each individual should know the organizational goals and the amount of contribution through his efforts towards the goals. Each individual working in the company, he should know that what are the organizational goals and how can he do something to achieve these goals. Okay, so it's a very positive thing because here all the employees are feeling will feel motivated that they are whatever they are doing, it has a direct contribution to the organizational goals. So he would be feeling motivated and he would do all the things very properly. Now the second thing is that each individual should also know that the relation of organization goals is going to satisfy his or her needs positively. So it's a two-way connection. Whatever the individuals are doing, it is helping to achieve the organizational goals, and when the organizational goals are achieved, then that will also help the individual to satisfy his or her needs. Okay, now it represents the adoption of Japanese management practices, group decision making, social cohesion, job security, holistic concern for the employees. All these things are used by the Erwick theory JET. In India also, if we are seeing that Maruti Suzuki, Hero, Honda, etc., they are applying the postulate of theory JET. Now the next thing is that Argyris theory. The 7 changes taking place in individual personality make him or her a mature one. Okay, now what are the 7 things? Argyris views that immaturity exists in individuals mainly because of organizational setting and management practices. Okay, so the two things are that if we are taking the stages, so first thing is that immaturity and maturity. How can we say that the individual is immature? If he is passive, if he is depending on others for doing his work, he is behaving only in a few ways, he doesn't have any interest, he has a short-term perspective, he is subordinate or lacking self-awareness, so all these conditions show that he is immature. Now from shifting from immaturity to maturity is that you become active, you become independent doing your work, you are having deep interest in doing the things, you have a long-term perspective, you take a long-term view of the things, you have come at a good position, you have self-awareness and control. So these are the two things So this is just a shifting from immaturity to maturity. Okay, so our greatest use at immature just individual, mainly because the organization setting and management practices. Okay, so if he says that our greatest says that if the manager shift his means transform his management styles, then the individuals can shift from this immaturity position to a maturity position, which will of course be very good for the whole company. Okay, now the next thing that we come to the leadership theories. So in leadership theories, the first one that we have is the contingency theory. In contingency theory, this theory says that no your style of leadership may be applicable to all the situations. A manager, a leader has to see that what the situations are there, and according to those situations he has to change his style of leadership. Effective leadership is about striking the right balance between needs, context and behavior. What the needs are there, what the context, and how does he need to behave in the present time. He needs to think about all this. Now situational leadership. Situational leadership theory is a combination of two factors: the leadership style and the maturity level of the followers. What is the leadership style and how does the followers need to, what is the maturity level of the followers? Now different situations demand different styles of leadership and again the decision making. So this is also based on the situation. Transformational leadership theory is the leaders are typically motivated by the ability to show the followers the significance of the task. This is the transformation, means you are just trying to change the style of the working of the employees. Okay, the leader is trying to change the style of the working. Okay, how does it do it? He just show the significance of the task that the employees are going to do and how the employees can do it more better way. So they give the individual team members the required push to reach his or her potential. Okay. Now the fourth one is transaction theories. It revolves around the role of supervision, organizational and teamwork. Rewards and punishment are considered as the basis for leadership actions. In transaction theories, the supervision, organization and teamwork all are considered, and the leader give rewards and punishment to the employees for doing his leadership actions. Now the next is this, the behavioral theory. Here the emphasis shifts from the traits or qualities of leaders to their behaviors and actions. Here we are emphasizing on the behavior and action that the leader is following. Okay, so this theory considers effective leadership to be the result of men learned or acquired skill. How much a leader is capable, how much the skill a leader is having. So on this the effective leadership depends. Now the sixth one is great man theory of leadership. This is the earliest leadership theory based on the assumption that leaders are born rather than made. In this, it is assumed that if a leader is very great, then it is not because of it's only because of his inborn quality that he have. And what are the qualities here? The charm, confidence, intellect, communication skills, social aptitude, and this all are in the leader only by his birth, and he has not learned it in his life. It is only by birth. Now the seventh one is the trait theory of leadership. According to this, the leaders are born with traits that make them more suitable for the role of a leader than others who lack those nature. Again, this trait theory of leadership is just an extension of the great man theory of leadership, which just tells us that a leader who have natural born traits that can they have certain qualities like intelligence, accountability, sense of responsibility, creativity and all that. So if they have these things, then they can be a perfect leader, otherwise they can't be. So this great method of leadership and the trait of leadership, this is of course a very old style of leadership style that the theorists have said, but this is not applicable because it doesn't motivate the new leaders who wants to gain certain things in his life, learn certain things in their life and to become great leaders. So if anyone wants, he can become a great leader. So this is one of the oldest theory. Okay, so here we have learned all the concept and theories of leadership and motivation. Thank you. I hope you have understood it all.